What is up, guys? It is I, Tables, Ladders, and Sean. And yes, I've been away for a few weeks or so. Obviously, things were very busy on the main channel. Like I said, this is just a fun project that I do. I actually had an AEW Dynamite review all written up and ready to go. And then Super Mario 35 came out on the Nintendo Switch eShop. So I have to focus on my main video game channel, of course, because that's what makes me money. This is just for fun. But this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and I think it's finally time to address the elephant in the room, that is WWE Raw in the year of 2020. Now, some people think that I'm kind of anti-WWE. That's not the case. I love classic WWF. That's obviously what I grew up on. I love the professional wrestling sport, and really, I like NXT. I don't get to watch NXT quite as much as I would like to, because it obviously comes on when AEW Dynamite comes on, and I prefer AEW Dynamite, but I did watch the pay-per-view on Sunday, and I thought it was very good. It was a very good takeover, and I really like SmackDown. Yes, some weeks are better than others on SmackDown, but I think overall, SmackDown is a very enjoyable show. There's great writing, there's great character development, there's interesting matchups, and just as a whole, SmackDown is a very good WWE product. But then we have WWE Raw, the flagship show that was introduced back in 1993 as the premier destination for your WWE events on television. Obviously, when Raw first came out, it was the main show. It was the main attraction. It was set the standard for televised wrestling up until this date. But over 2020, this show has just gotten ridiculous. It's gotten absolutely ridiculous. There have been some bright spots with the show that I do want to highlight before we get into the negative stuff. Things like Drew McIntyre taking the belt off of Brock Lesnar. That was a very smart decision. Brock Lesnar just, it's obvious that his heart wasn't quite into the sport. He was doing it for money. Vince just liked him because, it was a big name. Vince loves those big, burly UFC style guys, so he always introduces them. So adding Drew McIntyre as your champion was a very smart decision. And of course, there were real world situations that did impact the wrestling, stratosphere. But, with COVID and whatnot, every other wrestling company seems to have adjusted and found their post-COVID groove. Even segments of WWE has figured that out. But for some reason, Raw has not. And one of the main things that makes Raw just unwatchable for me in 2020 is repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition. I cannot count the amount of times I have seen Angel Garza and Andrade go up against the Street Profits in one way or another. Maybe throw in the Viking Raiders in there as well. Are these the only 3 tag teams in the company that you have access to? Are these the only 3 tag teams that you can sit out there and promote? Now, they're all very good tag teams, don't get me wrong, but I want to see some variety in these matches, and a lot of times it's just extremely predictable. The women's division is pretty much in that same sort of stratosphere. Like, there's only so much you can do with the talent that you're given if you're not getting good storylines, and the storylines have just been atrocious, really. Asuka's the champion. Okay, who's going after her? Whoever we can find. Zelina Vega. And Zelina Vega is, I think, a very underrated talent, but everyone knew going into this match that Zelina Vega was not going to win. And then she got a rematch for some reason, which, of course, she didn't win. And then you have Lana going through a table every single week. I'm sure that has nothing to do with Miro joining AEW or anything like that, but it's so stagnant. It's so stagnant on WWE Raw right now that you can predict what's going to happen just by seeing a lineup of the show, and you'll probably be 100% right. And that's a huge problem. Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. Why is this feud still going on? What happened to Keith Lee? We just kind of forgot about Keith Lee after calling him up. Like, there's so much talent there, and they don't do anything with this talent. You can have great matches all the time, and great matches will only get you so far, though, because people like storylines in their wrestling. Now, there are 2 storylines that have, I would say, improved over time. The first one being the Hurt Business. I actually really like the Hurt Business, and if it wasn't for the Hurt Business, I would skip Raw every single week. I super like the Hurt Business. I think they're sort of a modern day, 4 Horsemen sort of thing. And I think it's a great group of guys. I think, you know, having MVP as a mouthpiece, hot take, MVP deserves a championship run in the company as the WWE champion. Even if it's just a transitional champion, I would love to see MVP get the gold at one point in time just as a thank you, because he has really revitalized the careers of Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander. You know, they come out there, they got that horseman swag, you know, with like the suits and shit like that. And it's like, when they come out, it's a big deal to me. I think they are the most entertaining thing on Raw by far. And then you have Retribution. Now, Retribution has been kind of crappy. Let's be real. You know, they don't seem to know what they want to do with this angle. They actually shoehorned in Mustafa Ali as the leader of Retribution last night. A lot of people seem to be excited about that. I'm going to take a very wait and see approach with that, just because of how bad Retribution has been. Like, why did they get contracts in the first place while they're destroying everything? And, you know, why were they across all of the WWE brands, but now they're just focused on Raw? They don't show up on SmackDown anymore. Everyone thought The Miz was going to be involved in it. It's just a very, you know, throw shit at the wall and hope something sticks situation with Retribution. I do think it got a little bit better with Mustafa Ali, but I am taking a wait and see approach with that. But it's just, it's a boring show. And that's what it boils down to. It is a 3-hour show that is very easily predictable. Now, of course, we do have a draft coming up, which can invigorate some new people into the roster there. But I don't think it has to do anything with the roster. I think it solely falls on the writing of the show, because you could skip Raw and still know what's going on. You could skip Raw every single week and still be in tune at what was going on. You have Seth Rollins, who's one of the best wrestlers on the planet, one of the best heels on the planet, just spinning his wheels with Rey Mysterio. How long has this feud been going on? And I get it, you know, long-term feuds are a good thing, but when the feud itself becomes stale and you're not invigorating new ideas into the feud that makes sense in this feud, it just becomes a moot point to me. It becomes something that I don't want to see, because it's not entertaining me. It's something that you've gone as far as you can go with this. I do think there is a lot of talent on the roster, though. You know, someone like Dominic Mysterio has to be a Rookie of the Year contender, maybe even a Rookie of the Year winner. Like, he has been absolutely fantastic. He sucks on the mic. You know, that'll come with time, of course, as he gets more confidence on the mic. But in ring, he is very, very smooth. He does have to be sort of led, of course, but I think as a wrestler, he shows a ton of potential. And once again, I think Dominic Mysterio is a bright spot. But when all of your belts just kind of seem meaningless, you know, obviously the US title's getting a bit of a rub right now, but your women's title just seems meaningless. Your tag team titles seem meaningless. Even your championship belt, the WWE belt with Drew McIntyre, it seems meaningless, because you're constantly putting him in non-title matches that he ends up losing. And it's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. It all boils down to the writers of WWE Raw. They are dragging down the show. I think you can give them all the talent in the world, but if you're not implementing new ideas into storylines, you're not making interesting storylines for people to want to grasp onto, it just becomes this 3-hour slog that's not easily digestible, that has just so many predictable elements to it that it becomes nearly unwatchable. And so, yeah, you know, I just wanted to get this off my chest. You know, I'm just absolutely bored out of my mind with Raw. You could tell that it is a Vince McMahon product. It is a Vince McMahon creation, and he has way too much control over it, because it's just spinning its wheels over and over again. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of WWE Raw. Has this been a show that you have been enjoying, or do you sort of see things my way as just this unwatchable program of just repetition, and when they try to do a storyline, it usually makes little to no sense. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. I will be back. I'm planning some bigger stuff on the channel here. There will be reviews coming back this week, but this is just something I wanted to sort of reinvigorate the channel with. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good one.